So I have a belief that a lot of people do not agree with, and that's fine. But it's a belief that I've shared often amongst friends. Even my husband does not technically agree with me, but again, that's fine. But I'm going to tell you why I don't believe in male and female friendships. I believe that there are certain contexts where men and women can be close. For example, in ministry. As a minister, I work in ministry with male ministers, and we are very close. That is my brother in Christ, and it's a relationship that is very intimate. When you're praying with someone, when you are fasting with someone, when you are laboring with someone in spiritual warfare, like that, those are very intimate activities. However, that relationship has a very specific context. My fellow ministers, my brothers in Christ, understand that I'm a married woman, and those boundaries won't be violated. The thing about having a friendship and the intimacy that goes along with a friendship is there is no context. The context is life. So you share life with that person. You share your deepest parts, the deepest parts of yourself with that person. When you truly have a friend, then that person sees parts of you that no one else sees. And I believe when it comes to men and women, that those innermost parts are reserved for your spouse. So I believe that when we have those kinds of intimate relationships with the opposite sex and they don't have a proper context, that's how people get hurt. So feelings develop because women are relational. We desire to have connection with people. When we have those sorts of connections with men who don't see us as wives or as a potential spouse, women, their feelings can get hurt, and it can go either way. A man can develop feelings over time for his friend. That's where this whole idea of the friend zone comes from, where men feel stuck in the friend zone. Well, it's because there was never a specific context for your relationship, and so when you felt led past the zone of friendship, and you felt like the relationship had developed past a certain point, you were ready to act on those feelings and she wasn't, and now there's a rejection because the intimacy that you're sharing with this person is reserved for deep, intimate, same-sex friendships that have a context, because we're the same sex, so we're not going to be together, or husband, wife, spousal relationships that have a context. Another reason why I think I think a lot of people don't agree with me when I say, this idea of having opposite sex friends, is I think friend is a very overused, misunderstood term. When I use the term friend, I am talking about a deep, intimate relationship. I'm not talking about an acquaintance. I'm not talking about someone I associate with. I'm not talking about a coworker. I'm not talking about someone I may enjoy, a conversation with every now and again. That's not a friend for me. A friend is very intimate. My girlfriends know things about me that the average person is not going to know. My husband knows things about me that the average person is not going to know. My pastor knows things about me that the average person is not going to know. All of these relationships are very personal, and they put you in a very vulnerable position. And so sometimes we call people friends who just aren't our friends, who have not earned that title, do not deserve that title, and it could be same sex or opposite sex. And then when that person hurts you, that creates a wound. And so now, because you've trusted your vulnerability to someone who was never your friend in the first place, that's where you get these walls, and you start to build these walls around your heart, and you don't want to let anybody in. So I think we need to be very careful with the way that we use that word friend. And I think we need to be very careful with who we share our vulnerability, especially in dating relationships where if you're not on the same page, and you're trying to be, a woman's purpose is to multiply whatever she's given, is to make beautiful. The word that the Bible uses to describe how a woman was fashioned, banah, means it's related to art and to beautiful palaces. Like, we were created using the same word that God uses to create beauty. And so we beautify everything that we come in contact with. And we have this relational, nurturing aspect of our personality where we want to make better. We want to enhance. We want to fix up. We want to improve that which is in our vicinity. And we have to be careful that we don't give that to a man who has no vision of us for a spouse. And so I think women get caught up more often. I think men and women can both get caught up in very dysfunctional soul ties prematurely, by prematurely inviting someone into a very intimate and vulnerable space before that context has been established. So when I say I don't believe in opposite sex friendships, I'm saying I don't believe it's wise to invite someone into your vulnerable, intimate space lacking context for your relationship and for your future. That goes with same sex, opposite sex, whoever. But I feel like single women suffer the most because, again, women are relational. And so we want to connect. We want to be a part of. And we want to operate in our purpose, which is to enhance, to improve, to beautify. But when we give that to someone, again, who does not have a vision of us, and there is no proper context for what we're doing, oftentimes that single woman is left in an unrequited situation where she's given and given and given, and it has not been returned. And so she's left feeling unfulfilled. She's left feeling rejected. She's left feeling broken. She's left feeling like she's not enough. And I feel like the way that you really protect yourself is I don't feel like the word friend from the Hebrew, ra'ah, the companionship, I don't think that develops or should develop until you have, with the opposite sex, until you have that context of, I want to spend the rest of my life investing in you, and vice versa. And once you all have that understanding and that context and that foundation is laid, that's when you really begin to work on building a friendship. And so I would caution women, single women especially, I would caution you to be very careful with who you enter vulnerable and intimate spaces with. You shouldn't be, I'm not gonna say that, but I feel like especially once we get saved, we're like, okay, he's not in Christ, I'm gonna lead him to Christ, I'm gonna pray with him, that's not your role as an acquaintance of this guy. You are just getting to know him. You are gathering information. You are experiencing him on a very basic level to just make a decision on, is this someone I want to invest more time with? Is this someone who has a vision of me as a spouse? Is this someone who can lead me in Christ and in our future? So be an acquaintance and be okay with being an acquaintance until that man lays the foundation and the vision for more. And then you work on a friendship. And that friendship is not to be given freely and given to just anyone. Like, I think Jesus had a very small circle. Like, he had an inner circle. He had 3 of his disciples who were a part of that, who were his friends. And he had no women there in that circle. He did ministry with women. He ordained women. He blessed the work of women, but he was not friends with a woman. Just my thought, just my take. Agree or disagree. But as a married woman, I don't have any male